Hey guys, it's Chris, the Natural Progressive. Um, I'm really excited today. I'm always excited when I talk about these issues. I don't know why I should be crying, but better to keep it positive in the light of the situation and live each day to its fullest. Um, so today we're going to be talking about biodiversity and how that is the missing factor in all of the so-called solutions to the climate crisis. Uh, they're missing out that vital ingredient. But by the way, we got the pleasure of seeing the intro twice, and this is great because Osama number 5, one of my subscribers, donated the music. It is her original music, and I love it to death. I think it works great. It's understated. It's perfect for who I am. So anyway, big shout out to Osama number 5. Thank you so much. I love it. I really do appreciate what you did for me. So thank you so much. When you see Osama, say thanks. Anyways, guys, so just to as an introduction to this topic, I wanted to show a small clip from Bill Nye the Science Guy. Even though he's still a little bit mainstream, I think he has really good messaging and he knows his science. I watched him from a little girl. Well, not that little, middle school or around there. And I just love Bill Nye. So we'll just start out with a small clip from Bill Nye to introduce the topic. Messaging and he knows his
as
science.
this
I watched
wooden puzzle
from a
game.
little girl.
See all the different species? They all fit
not that
together,
middle
and
school
they depend
or
on each other
around
to
there.
live.
And
Now, you know,
I
once
just
in a
love
while, a
Bill Nye.
species
So
will go extinct.
we'll just start out with a small clip from
disappear
Bill Nye
from the
to
ecosystem.
introduce.
And you can see how you could lose a few of those without too much trouble. But if you start to lose too many, the whole thing becomes a little rickety. Now, where do people fit in? Well, look, they fit in just about everywhere. Look, just about anywhere you can walk, you'll find people living, because people are living things, and they're part of the ecosystem. So, when we go to manage an ecosystem, we have to be careful about how things fit together, or there won't be a place for us. We have to be very careful, extremely careful. Now, this hasn't happened yet, but it could.
Okay, you're up.
Okay, so I got distracted, so sorry. Yeah, so this is the discussion that's missing in all of the talks about how we can support going on to 10 billion people on the planet. And so like when we have to rebuild all the infrastructure, there's going to be a lot of roads and all that they're probably going to rebuild. When I would argue that we should not rebuild the roads and bridges and all that. We should try to live more locally, grow our own food locally, because the way I am just not in the flow today, but the way that we're doing it now, the monoculture, one giant crop in one small area, it can get destroyed really quickly. And we had 2 seasons of crops that got destroyed in that one flood. There was the previous crop storage, and there's a storage and the new crop they won't be planting this year. So when you consider that the news is not talking about it, they're not talking about how devastating that is to humans, to animals. Farmers are not getting feed to their animals because all those crops were ruined in that flood. So this is going to be the start of the discussion. The Green New Deal building new things, no matter how environmentally sound they supposedly are. Everything you build is taking up ecosystems for other living things that we desperately need to survive ourselves. So, Oz, do you have any comments? Don't understand how this part of the conversation is left out in every conversation that they're having on the media. just anywhere. There is not even the independent media is really talking about how important biodiversity is for our sustainability, and they definitely aren't talking about the population issues where people should be really, really reconsidering having children. I would not by choice bring a child into this world where it is going. When you see all the infrastructure is breaking down, which is probably a good thing in the long run. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but we need to be living locally. We need to be growing our own food. People need to start being self-sustainable, because we're not going to be able to transport that food in when all the roads are damaged. Understand the basic concept that we need microorganisms in the ground to help grow our food. I mean, we need earthworms that are their populations are down 80%. We need the insects to pollinate, and the more land we take the from those ecosystems, we're taking from ourselves. And with the Green New Deal, they want to build more things. It's based on the New Deal itself. And that was actually horrific for the environment. Even if it was great for the economy, it was horrific for the environment. So we've got to stop thinking in terms of economy and start thinking in terms of ecology, and try to rebuild as much as we can before it's all over. We're not going to stop it, but we could maybe slow it down and hold on to what we have a little bit longer. And that's kind of my opinion on that. Like, seriously, literally buried in trash. Trash is washing up on the shores. There's islands of plastic as big as Texas. It's it's inconceivable that we can maintain this and live any kind of lifestyle whatsoever. So we've got to change everything entirely, and and it would have to be some pretty drastic changes. Even the UN Assembly on the Environment were saying the same thing. We have to live completely different in order to sustain life a little longer, basically. Change accounts. Um, anyway, my whole point in all of this is we really can't. We have to look past economy and building the economy, and we have to really, really think about the proposed the proposed solutions, which are changing to a more sustainable energy system like solar panels and all that. But one of the top contributors to climate change is just the getting the resources that we would need to build these things. I have a slide. If you have it, were you able to get the slides hooked up? Or the environment, I mean, look at that open pit mine. That's how you extract those raw materials to build anything. So I guess we're trying to find out some information on hemp. But even if you're growing it out of hemp, you're utilizing an ecosystem that uh, was we probably need to build more biodiversity. Let's see, who is Oz still muted, guys? Or can you hear him now? Hi, Barrick Dixon. I don't know, Barrick, Barrick, Barrack Dixon. Wow, no one can hear Oz. Is that correct? Sorry, guys. We're trying to work out these issues, but I'm glad we're live so we can do that, even though it's kind of a mess. It's kind of messy. So anyway, I'll just keep reading comments because I love to hear from you guys. So Book Hermit, we have three options with population: World War III, an evil empire reducing population by force, or environment construction on a scale no one has even contemplated. Approximately zero chance. Yeah, you mean rebuilding the environment? Is that what you mean, Book Hermit? Uh, haven't heard Oz yet, asked the wizard. What's going on? Let's see. That's okay. We'll just let these guys talk. Yeah. Um, he's talking about his puppy, which brings great joy. Wait, what? Dang it! I hate it when I try to. Um, did you turn your level up, Oz? Living locally actually has more total impact on the environment if you are trying for the same overall class of life. Well, the thing is, we can't have the same class of life. That has to all change. We have to make smaller footprints and, you know, live more simply, cram more people in the houses that are existing right now instead of building new houses. Maybe go back to the multifamily households that change your life entirely to make it even to where we can extend our life on this planet, seriously. And it's even without even considering climate change at all. And I know a lot of people think, oh, we just change and don't eat meat anymore. While I agree with the premise, it's not enough. It's just not enough, because the more people you have, the more land you need to grow food. And whether you're eating meat or vegetables, we can't sustain 7.8 billion people, let alone the 10 billion that's approaching quickly. And the 10 billion, 9 to 10 billion was considered the max sustainable, without factoring in biodiversity that we're losing every day. 150 to 200 animals and plants go extinct every day. That biodiversity loss affects everybody, everything. We have the insect apocalypse, where insects that pollinate our food, that help decompose the the things in the soil, and then there's the earthworms that are really really needed for fertile ground. So I don't know what to say about just changing your diet. I don't think is going to help at all. Okay, going back to the comments. Let's see. Brian, BR cheese, I believe if we utilize vegenetic permaculture and change our diet with and infrastructure to a better, more environmentally friendly materials, I am willing to make the needed sacrifices myself. I am too. But infrastructure, I mean, everything you build is going to take resources. Everything, even if it's hemp based or plant-based, you still need the land to grow it, or you need the minerals mined. uh, there's just so much. I don't have the answers, mind you. I'm not a scientist, but I don't think at this point people are going to be willing to do what it takes to save the planet. I wish. Yeah, growing things, if you grow your food yourself, you're definitely leaving a smaller footprint. You're not traveling to the store. You're not supporting factory farming, which would is just devastating. And the monoculture crops that we have are really not great for the soil. And then obviously when they lose a crop like they did in the Midwest, they lose a lot, and that's the breadbasket of the country, even the world. So there was a lot of food, and no one is talking on the major media how much food that is and how that is going to really, really affect the entire global food supply. It's huge. There is one article on it. Actually, Sam Mitchell did a story on it on Collapse Chronicles, and I really recommend you go and watch that, because it's very important to know and to grow your own food right now. So, are we still not on to Oz? We still not hear Oz?
Well, try me now.
Can you guys hear us?
I think you can, sort of.
Let's see. Environmental Coffee House. I'm willing. My local activist community is. That's great, Sandy. Okay. Human securing the nuclear waste is paramount for the next 7 generations. I don't think we have 7 generations left. Honestly, I'll be surprised if we make it through 2023. I don't I don't see it working. WASF, in my opinion, yes, Sandy, we are so fucked. So now that I understand the WASF, I'm dumb sometimes. Okay, but people will not accept lower standards of living unless we eliminate the economic elite first, i.e., another path to World War III. Yeah, they need to be the first ones to make the changes. They're the ones that are making the biggest footprints. We shouldn't allow people to have more than one house. I mean, that is devastating to the planet in itself. These big giant mansions, some of them they only visit, once a year or something. Why is that even allowed in society when there's so few resources? Maybe I'm crazy, but I just think people need to learn how to live a different way, and we should not accept that to even occur because we are losing biodiversity. We need to put people in every structure we already have, quit building new ones. I know I have a crazy crazy opinion. Okay, where is humans comment that everybody's talking about? Oh, World War III. Is that what you guys are? Let's see. Oz came through severely tiny and low volume, but you came through.
I am tiny and low volume. I'm a tiny and low volume guy.
Osama number 5. Yes, but human is right. If life is to ever recover on Earth, we need to address our mess of 400,000 tons of nuclear waste. Yes, there's so many different things that we have done to ourselves that there really aren't too many solutions, or even if there are, I mean, maybe there are, but people aren't implementing them. We're not even talking about that until you realize that's a problem. No one's going to do anything about it. So that's the biggest problem I have with society right now, is nobody's realizing it's a problem. I went on with Graham Elwood. He edited out most of the conversation, but we were talking about having to totally change everything about the way we live in order to even have any kind of a chance of extending things. And he's like, oh, but people don't understand. You can still fly. You can still drive. You can still, just get an electric car. And oh, heck, you can run cars on vegetable oil and go and fill up at the fast food. But fast food joints would have to go in my scenario. They would you wouldn't have fast foods and factory farming. You would have everything grown local, have to learn to freaking cook yourself. It is a fantasy world in my brain. It's never going to happen. So we will be just sucked down the drain with the rest of life on Earth. Now I'm getting depressing. So let's see. Let's go to someone else who may not be so depressing as me. As Shiva, don't jump, damn it. If given the choice, I choose to ascend out of the third dimension. This is a hard place in which to exist. Don't know what's after this world, but leaders here cause this place to be a living hell. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Do you want to try speaking again, Oz, to see if people can hear you?
Arf, 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 arf. Okay. Osama. Okay. Robin Data. Tiny is different from teeny. Book Hermit. There are easy solutions that aren't even mentioned. So I'm always open to listening to those. Thank you both for wearing earphones. It makes the audio really clear with no echoes.
Hey, I was wearing them last time, I think, wasn't I? I don't know.
Yeah. Chris Foster, neuter the elite by getting rid of the money. Offer the people a social contract, 3-day work week, 4 days to live your life. Well, I think that's a great idea, Chris.
That would be great. And it would just think of all the traffic that would take off the roads.
Oh, yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
And I think you should be getting incentives to work closer. Like even the employer could get incentives to hire people who work closer. And so they can I don't know, be subsidized to pay people, because a lot of reasons people work farther away from their homes is because of the money. So if we could subsidize, the smaller businesses instead of the big corporations, and maybe people could work locally, and so they don't have to drive as much as well. So I know it's crazy. I would want the whole world changed, but it's not going to happen. This is all my fantasy land. So Oz, now that people can hear you, I think people can hear you. Can we hear Oz now? Please tell me.
Yes, I think we can hear Oz. I can't remember everything I said before, but anyway,
I
thanks
know.
for putting up with your tech guy. You're going to push me off a bridge if I don't get this tech down one of these days. But it's stuff that's flying out of the air. I just did a show on TCSN, which this morning, and it must have robbed my mic. I'm going to have to get it back from them. So, but yeah, it's biodiversity is the subject that we want to go with. And did we lose Chris again? Wow. Are you there, Chris?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, good. I didn't, I keep losing you. I think maybe I'm.
Don't lose me.
Yeah.
I'm too big to lose.
Yeah, no, I'm here. But anyway, no, it's quite the challenge, and I know that we're up to it as a species. So whatever we can do, I encourage people to send you emails, the Natural Progressive, so we can talk about these things. And of course, support all the other groups out there and shows like the Environmental Coffee House with Sandy, and all the shows. You've had a lot of guests here that need to stay focused on this. So that's where we're at.
And I'll focus on those that focus on this, because if you don't start talking about it, you're not going to have any solutions. And the Green New Deal, I don't think really would help. In fact, I think it would be hurtful to the whole situation. You can't consume your way out of a problem. You can't build your way out of this problem that we're in. The more you build, the more you're going to destroy the environment. We almost have to be regressive when it comes to building infrastructure, and no one wants to change that. I mean, I do, but I'm weird. I'd rather not spend 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours a day on the freaking road. I would rather be working close to home, maybe even walking to work, or just growing my own food. And maybe they can subsidize people who grow food and share it with their the people around them, so that you can afford to stay home and grow food, because some people can't do that. Some people don't know how to grow food. So there could be real ideas that might make a difference, but I can tell you right now that just building wind power, the windmills, and putting in solar, that's not going to be enough. I mean, you can't continue living the way you're living, and it may be forced upon us because of all these catastrophes that are happening in the Midwest, where the roads are so damaged they can't even ship in food or ship it out. Even if it didn't all get destroyed, they can't even get shipments for their cattle. They're starving. So I mean, this isn't on the news. It's not on the news. They talk about the flooding and how horrible that is, but they're not really deep diving into the issue of the food supply. So yeah, I already went over that, but Oz was silent at that point. So maybe Oz has something to say.
Well, I'd like to read a couple of more comments here.
Cool.
Because we've got 28 watching here right now. And
hi guys, sorry it's such a mess. I'm sorry.
No, don't you apologize. It's all on me. So, Book Hermit, I just assume it will be after the destruction and collapse that we can start building a workable system. Do you think there's going to be enough left after the destruction and collapse? Because we're gradually going into this, but I think we've hit the point now where we're really putting legs on it and moving faster and faster. Do you think, at that point, like Book Hermit is saying?
Well, Book Hermit thinks that it's not the climate that's an issue. He thinks it's just population. as far as I can tell. I wish I could get him on to talk with us because he has some very interesting ideas. Um, the nuclear problem is huge too. I think he agrees with that. Um, geez, he or she. I shouldn't do that. Oh yeah, he's a he. Yeah, I remember now. um, yeah, so I don't know how to make it understood that there is an issue with the climate, um, to some people, because if you don't believe it, you don't believe it. But when you see, oh, I'm frozen, that sucks. But when you see what's going on in the Midwest, when you see, the Arctic vortex coming down and freezing, and these things just keep getting more and more. I mean, there's a disaster every other day. They're not even, some of them aren't even making the regular news because they're not as big as other ones. It's just one right after another, and the infrastructure is being destroyed, and we won't be able to rebuild that infrastructure without killing our planet more. So I don't know. The biodiversity loss is huge because of we need the other species to survive ourselves, and just that alone can kill us. I mean, we can't have food, we can't have crops if we don't have the insects that and the microorganisms in the ground. We can't have fish in the ocean because all the plankton and algae are dying. The kelp forests are going away. They absorb all the carbon in the air, and we won't even have that anymore. What are we going to eat? I mean, sure, we can be here, I guess, as long as you can learn how not to eat.
Well, famine has already started. Famine has already started. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're, other than mass producing several generations supply of Twinkies, I guess that we're going to be kind of in trouble there. And, for those who watch the old movie Soylent Green, we're actually doing the Soylent Green now with all the animal life. And I've got a shout out to the vegan community that they get that too.
Mm-hmm.
This cultural aspect of eating meat and everything else is something that we've been socially taught since we were birthed. That's the way to go, and it's another issue that we don't need to get into today. But the fact of the matter is, by factory farming, the animals for consumption, that adds to such a big problem with our carbon emissions. It isn't even
Mm-hmm.
funny. But back to your original question, I think that after the mass migrations, there will be a lot of death, a lot of destruction. But as the species gradually walks into the sunset, they're going to make every effort to, to save what's left of what we've destroyed. And, it's such a bummer to even talk about, but we're adults, let's talk about it. I mean, it's not like it's not happening. This year's on track to be the hottest ever. I mean, with the floods, and the fire season has already started, and it's only March. In
Mm-hmm.
Washington and Oregon, the fire season's already started. I mean, that's unheard of. I don't know how it is on the East Coast, but here it's crazy. So, what's your feelings about that, Chris?
Well, things are changing so fast, and here it's so wet, and when our mountains are full of snow, they're just packed. It's been like 130, 140% of moisture, and the ground is completely saturated. We're getting a sinkhole in our back where the horses are, which is really scary. um, Things are changing really, 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 really fast, and when that snow melts off the mountain, we may be flooded there. I mean, with everything already saturated, everything's already saturated, and I don't know how we're going to deal with it. And when the temperatures jump up, which they will, it's supposed to be 70 by Tuesday, and it's been, in the 30s and 40s, bumping up into the 50s, but not, of course, in the mountains that would still be cold enough to keep the snow on. But when we get up to 70s on in the valley, then up in the mountains it's going to start melting, and we'll see what happens then. uh, but it's a problem. It's a problem, and I am growing food like crazy right now. I have this room is pretty much a greenhouse. So I'm getting food ready to go plant it outside as soon as we're not freezing at night anymore.
So you along with so many other people in this country and the planet, frankly, are doing your part to do the best to mitigate what's going on now. And that's all we can do, is encourage people to do that. I mean, it's a must. And, you know, I want to thank everybody around the planet that's doing that and trying to help people. I think that if we took the same amount of focus that the United States does as they do on wars and taking other countries' resources, on biodiversity, on the climate crisis, on the things that keep the human species and all of our the animal species on the planet, frankly, together and healthy, it would be just, I would be just delighted along with the rest of the people. But then again, it's that me generation thing that came out of the Reagan era. Is it can't be about me, it has to be about us. And us means the stewards of the planet, taking care of, you know, the animals and the plants that sustain us. So that's where I'm at. I mean, going out, I'm looking down the short road here. I'm bucking 60, and I've got a daughter who I love very much, like we all do, love our kids, and we want to see them have a healthy and happy future as long as we can. And being that we're partially responsible for what's going on, I think it's our duty to do that.
Yeah. Hey, Oz, do you mind if I let Zen Capture all jump on? He's the one that's, or he or she, I don't know, that's been researching this very issue for like a decade.
I don't mind at all. I would love to have Zen Capture come on, but let's get them in. Are they in the Zoom yet?
No, I've got to give them the link.
Give them the link, and then we'll get them sound checked and bring them right in. Are they a them or a him or her? Or,
I don't know. Will you tell me what you? I don't
or
know.
a non-binary, or
I found Zen Capture all on Paul Beckwith's.
Oh, great.
Channel.
I really enjoy bringing people in. So let's see if we can get them in.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see if I can copy this. And I have his email, so apply. Okay, I sent Zen Captures all a link. And let me get back up so I can see what's going on. There. Okay. So hopefully we'll have Jason, okay, and a guy, okay. So Jason hopefully will be joining us shortly. Let's see. In the meantime,
well, this is fun. Let's try this. Yeah, since my sound got boogered, why not? Let's make it a tech-friendly day. And
I am just so out of it, I can't even think straight today.
Oh, you're always great.
I'm just off. So let's let someone else talk. I can string a couple sentences together.
Yeah, and I can't talk and chew gum at the same time, so I haven't been much help. So, but anyway, yeah.
Come on, Jason. I sent you the link.
I'm almost thinking that we are frozen on the stream.
Are we? I can see it on this.
Okay, yeah, I was just frozen on one of my wheels. Okay, Zen, let's have a sound check, Zen. Hi, Zen.
I can't hear Zen.
I can't hear Zen. Let's see if we can get Zen going on here.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, that's better. Yes, better.
Okay. Let me pin Zen. I think I could pin Zen.
Okay. A little louder, though, if you could.
A little louder, Zen.
How's that? A little bit better?
Much better. Yay. So you've been listening to us.
Absolutely.
What do you have to say? My brain is fried, and I totally made a mess of the points I was trying to make. But help me out here. Tell me what's going on.
Well, I spent a large portion of my life specifically studying the mechanisms of ecosystem stability driven by complexity in the ecosystem. So symbiotic relationships and their how they intertwine, and how it drives stability in an environment. Let's see if I can adjust my light here.
That's awesome. So what do you think about the Green New Deal? Is that going to help or hurt if we build more things, even if it's solar panels and windmills? How do you think that'll affect the biodiversity when we're just eating up more land?
Well, the reality, in my opinion, I try to separate the two, the climate change issue and the biodiversity loss issue. I see those as two separate problems, and
Mhm.
they both need to be addressed separately before we try to address them collectively. So global warming and climate change is absolutely a huge concern. But my
Mhm.
focus is more on the biodiversity loss being a concern in itself.
It is, yeah. Just that alone is a huge problem in my eyes, because we can't live without our ecosystem, without our habitat, and we're destroying it very rapidly. Our house is not necessarily our habitat. Our habitat is everywhere that we grow food, you know. Sure, you can live in an apartment, but until you have to bring resources into that apartment, you know, it's not your habitat. What your habitat is, where you get your food from, where you live with nature and contribute to nature, but we're more taking from nature than contributing to it. Uh, yeah, I mean, what can
I
we do?
think the most I think the most important thing that I'd like to do is have more people understand one basic, fundamental concept, um, and that is that reducing complexity decreases stability and the ability to adapt to change. So a monoculture crop is at a much higher risk of environmental changes of any type wiping out that crop. So when you have a complex ecosystem like an Amazon rainforest, for example, um, it is more resilient to change because of the increased amount of biodiversity. The more complex an ecosystem, the more stability it has because there's more variation within it to adapt and change to a shifting condition. So the fact that approximately 70% of species on our planet have gone extinct in the last 25 years can be immediately translated to, we are going to see 70% decrease in environmental stability just from biodiversity loss, which is terrifying.
Right. And what adds to that problem is having an ever increasing population of the human species taking up more ecosystems and destroying forests and
Absolutely.
environments of other animals. So
Well, Hans Rosling did a very good study on measuring the rate of growth and development and reproduction in humans and how it might taper off at some point in the future. But the reality is that taper off zone is well past our projected life expectancy for civilization on our planet. I think
yeah.
David Suzuki described it best when he used an example with a test tube and the reproductive rate of bacteria within that test tube, stating that uh, if the bacteria, you put one bacteria in a test tube and it doubled every minute, then at minute 58, you have half the test tube full, and at minute 59, the whole thing is full.
Yeah.
It's a really great example of we don't realize that we have a problem until it's essentially way, way too late. And unfortunately, with our population, I believe we're well past that moment.
Yeah, I tend to agree, because yeah, it's just like in a petri dish when it's half full, and if you're doubling every day, well, the day before it doubles again and is full, everything looks fine. There's plenty of space. There's, you know, it looks fine. But the you know, the very next day it's done. So that's definitely a really good analogy. I've heard it over and over again in this fear of, kind of, it's the doomosphere, kind of, because we know
Well,
that there's
actually,
limited resources.
it's factored into almost every article I've ever read where they say, at our current rate of development, we're going to need another 2 Earths to support us.
Mm,
But I don't think anyone understands that there are no 2 other Earths just waiting for us to move into.
right.
So even saying, oh, we need 2 more Earths, it doesn't make any sense. We might as well say, we need 1,000 spaceships. It's not something we have access to, so it shouldn't even be in the conversation.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And sorry, I got distracted. I get messages popping up, but people need to start having this conversation. Even in the independent media, they shy away from it. They they're afraid of it, and until we realize it's a problem, and it gets the in everyday conversations, that maybe people will realize that it's probably not a good idea to bring another child into this world because of the suffering. I have nothing against babies. I think they're adorable and great and lovable, but I feel so bad when I hear someone's going to have a baby right now, because it's not going to be a fun world. We're running out of resources really quick. And that's how the climate change kind of runs into it. With the extreme weather, we are losing, like, the monocrops, like you said, and they can be destroyed in a heartbeat. But if everyone was growing their own food in their own backyard, well, sure, the people in that immediate area would be suffering a little bit, but everyone who is um, outside of that area, they'd still have a food supply if it was grown locally. So maybe they could get some help from the other areas that don't have that problem. So, although I don't know how, because their infrastructure is destroyed with the roads and all that. They're having trouble shipping in anything they need, from what I understand.
It's becoming illegal, that laws are being passed to prevent you from growing a garden on your property, from selling the fruits of your labor, the eggs from your chickens, the vegetables from your own garden. They're becoming illegal to sell, and even
Really?
capturing a rain barrel is
I
illegal at
knew
this point.
about I knew about the rain barrels. They say that's, yeah, against the law.
For thousands of years, a local farmer was allowed to sell his wares to his neighbors. But over the course of the last decade, laws are starting to be passed where you are no longer allowed to do that, under the guise that because your products cannot be tested by the Food and Drug Administration, that they're not approved. So a
Mhm.
farmer sells his eggs to his neighbors, um, is breaking the law now, which
That's crazy.
travesty.
I
What
mean,
should
we're allowed to do it here in this small town. I mean, no one does anything about it if it is illegal. Uh,
If you grew a garden in your front lawn and you tried to sell your fruits and vegetables to your neighbors, you would eventually very soon find a bylaw officer at your door.
oh, really? Anywhere across the United States, or is this just because people do
It's
it
starting to
here?
pop up. Yeah, people do
I
a lot
love.
of things that have been done for thousands of years that the government is now starting to consider very, very illegal,
Hmm. That
which
blows
is
me
unfortunate.
away.
I think
I,
that in elementary schools, we should be teaching children how to grow and raise vegetables. I think every single person should be able to supply their own food for a minimum of 6 weeks. But at the
oh,
moment, the average home only has enough food for 2 to 3 days. It's a
right.
very redundancy plan.
Yeah, I mean, but I did learn how to grow things in elementary school. That was part of the curriculum. I even learned how to make butter out of cream and things like that. And I can, I taught myself how to make my own yeast to grow to make bread. So, I think people need to learn these skills right now. And while we still have Google, while we still have the internet intact, I think people really need to learn these skills and start growing their own food. And I don't care, grow it. You can grow it in a window in your house, or get a grow light and grow food in your home. And you probably should. They can't stop you from doing that. I hope. Not unless they're coming in and inspecting your house.
I I personally, if I could make anything happen, I would love to give every child an aquarium
Hmm.
and give them the opportunity to learn how to build an ecosystem, not
That
just
was
a
one of
plastic
my Yeah, that
and a
was one of
gold.
our assignments in school, was to build a mini ecosystem. It was something you learned, and I was taught about the web of life, and how the smallest animal can affect every other animal in the web. And that is happening exactly like my third grade science teacher said it would happen. third grade science. Do they not teach this anymore? Because everybody thinks it's a foreign concept now. Well, the
It
humans
is
are
a
so
foreign
much more important than animals. They don't get it.
And then I think once the child gets really attached to all of the plants and animals in their aquarium, you should go and turn it up 4 to 5 degrees. And then when they experience the tragedy of watching their ecosystem collapse, maybe they'll understand the situation we all live in, because we live in a giant aquarium.
That's true. Yeah, the earth is kind of like a big aquarium, but we're totally destroying it. That's a great idea. Do you think that will happen? Because the elites don't want you to know what's happening. They want you to keep consuming. Buy this electric car that will save the planet. Buy all these energy efficient appliances. Throw away the ones that are perfectly okay functioning now, and buy these new ones so that you can get a tax reduction
based on profit.
When
everybody in
built-in obsolescence.
Huh?
Well, it's even worse than that.
Right.
It's not even obsolescence. When they came out with those compact fluorescent bulbs, which are supposed to be more environmentally friendly, I don't remember them launching at the exact same time a program to recycle all of the old bulbs or even to reuse them if they were still working. It literally was a throw your old bulbs in the garbage and buy these brand new ones that contain mercury.
Right.
Fun fact, if you go to a Home Depot or a hardware store and you break some of those compact fluorescents, they'll shut the store down because that's a hazardous material, the mercury inside them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm in Home Depots just about daily. That's kind of my job, but I don't work for Home Depot. So I work.
How dangerous they are.
Yeah. I worked at Eagle when I was younger, Eagle Hardware, and I remember breaking those and how I worked overnights back then, and it was scary, and the dust that comes out of them, and man, it's not good for you. But no, they don't come up with programs to recycle any of these items that they want you to replace, like cash for clunkers. Okay, that is the stupidest thing on the planet. Get rid of a perfectly good car that runs, spend all that energy it takes to melt it down, and build a entirely new car with a battery they don't know what to do with when it's done. And that's supposed to help our ecosystem, our world. I don't understand it. I think we're better off just using the cars that are there now. Yeah, stop building combustion engines. Stop it now. Great. And slowly, integrate. We shouldn't be buying any more cars anyway. Our world is hell.
You shouldn't be buying anything at all.
Right. You can't consume your way out of this.
A real tragedy is that you can look online on videos on YouTube and find examples of fields and fields and fields, deserts filled with abandoned old planes or cars, RVs. We don't look at that as a resource. Instead of mining new minerals from the ground, we should be mining junkyards.
Yeah.
It astounds me that there are 100,000 parked RVs in a desert that are rotting, yet we have homeless people all over the country.
Right.
You could easily solve one with the other.
I know, but that wouldn't help the big corporations that would like to very much profit off of the new stuff being built. But consumerism is killing us. It's killing us. It's killing our planet. It's killing all the other species along with it. It's just.
I love that you're an optimist, because you make it sound like it's happening now, when I would say that consumerism and capitalism has killed us. We're just in hospice at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're in hospice. I was actually going to work with another person in Utah who kind of understands the problem, and he wanted to do a show on the world in hospice, just and start kind of a support group for people that understand what's going on, but this is my support group right here in this little YouTube village that we've built. So I do understand that it's already happening. I mean, you can't lose all those species so quickly and realize that we're not on that list of species to go extinct. We're killing our habitat, and we keep growing in population, making it worse and worse and worse. So yeah, definitely. Eh, Is there anything else? We're getting close to the hour. Well, it's over the hour, but we started a little late. So, and we've had all these issues. Oh my gosh. Um, Oz, do you want to read some of the comments and maybe questions?
Yeah, S. Shiva, capitalism has run its inherently corrupt course, and now it's time to phase it into socialism. If we want to survive as a species, time to be social instead of capitalizing upon each other. That is such a good point, because that's how the multi-bazillionaires have got over on everybody. They have profited off of somebody else. It hasn't been about them pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. It's about extracting energy and wealth and things from other people. So yeah, that was a great comment, Jiva. Robin Data, the new 50-watt LED corn bulbs cost $35 plus and put out 500-watt equivalent. I didn't know that. Book Hermit, I make a living selling stuff that would have gone into the trash otherwise. Well, good.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice, Book Kermit. That's cool.
Osama, LEDs rock. Been using them for almost 50 years. Nick,
They do.
socialism, didn't they try that in Venezuela? Actually, Nick, socialism did work in Venezuela, but our
He was
embargoes.
kidding, right? He was
Yeah,
kidding, right?
I hope so. Our embargoes, as you know, are what's killing Venezuela right now. How do you pronounce that? Bajarn Cola? Bajarn Cola? We can't survive this big depth into Mother Nature. And yeah, as Shiva, that's what the mainstream media wants to tell you. The Scandinavian countries are the model. So those are a few of the last comments coming in there.
Nice. Oh gosh, I'm really happy, Jason, you jumped on last minute. I'm sorry, I was supposed to send you a link right at the beginning, but we were kind of trying to get on the air.
I'm actually surprised to have any reception. I live in a tiny home RV in a forest nowhere, so it's kind of a surprise that I have reception today.
Well, it was meant to be. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's good.
Very happy to have you, and thank you, Oz, for coming on. I know this was kind of a disaster of a show. My
it wasn't
brain
that bad. It wasn't that bad. You know, the less you hear of me, the better. So that's good.
Oh, it's all good. But yeah, Jason, I love having you, your input on all this, and I might ask you back again. Now I have your email, so I might bring you back on if it's okay one of these days.
Absolutely.
Cool. Sweet, guys. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time. Thank all you guys for coming. All my favorite peeps were here. So that just blows me away that you spend time watching our little show. That just is an honor. But we will be back soon. I don't have anything really hard scheduled. I was supposed to do Derek on Tuesday, but Derek Jensen, he is ill. He's having a hard time recovering from his surgery, so I won't be able to interview him on Tuesday. I'm super sad because I'm sure all y'all know who. All y'all, I sound like I'm from the South, and I'm totally not. Everybody knows who Derek Jensen is, who's on this channel. I bet you he is amazing, and I love his philosophy. He's there's a couple things I disagree with him on, but we won't get into that. The important part is, yeah, he needs to get better before he can come on. So I'm just super sad that he can't make it on Tuesday. It was all set, and then bam. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming, and I will find out what my schedule is, and I'll do a pop-in video to let you know what that is for the future. Thank you guys, and have a very, very good day, and we will talk to you soon.